What is up? It is once again, a late Sunday edition of the Splash Tag Podcast. Literally minutes ago, game three of the finals just wrapped. And so, once again, doing another quick post game, immediate reaction, quick podcast. And once again, I'm joined by Andrew, who was my guest last week when the Heat clinched the Eastern Conference. So, we're going to just break down game three. So, without further ado, what's good?
Yo, what's up, man? I'm doing good.
Good, good. Let's. So obviously, we were chatting back and forth during the game. Uh, so where do we even start? Like I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you come up with the first talking point because I honestly have a lot of thoughts.
So, I mean, the first talking point has to be Jimmy Butler, right? I mean, a 40-point triple double. He put the entire team on his back, knowing that Josh can bam around, knowing that the Heat are facing pretty pretty big odds, I would say. And he put the entire team on his back. He's from the start of the game, he was going to basket, he was drawing fouls, he was getting looks at a rim. His several good turnaround mid range shots, and yeah, that's my first takeaway. My second takeaway is the Heat got 80 a foul trouble early. They made him uncomfortable when he caught the ball. So as a result, he couldn't get rid of him, and Lakers offense was kind of out of rhythm. Also, they had a lot of turnovers. I think they had like 10 or 11 turnovers in the first quarter alone, which is pretty insane. Uh, Regardless, the Lakers were able to keep it close, but he were able to pull away at the end. All mostly thanks to Jimmy Butler. Just Jimmy Butler is the talking point of the game.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of three players all time to get a 40-point triple double in the NBA Finals. The other two are LeBron and Jerry West. So that's some pretty good company, obviously. But if you had told me, okay, the Heat are going to win and win by double digits, my thought would have been, okay, Miami needs to play their A plus game, and the Lakers need to play like a C minus game where probably one of AD or LeBron doesn't play so well. Obviously, that happened on the Lakers side. AD unfortunately got into some early foul trouble and wasn't able to have as big of a game as he had in game two. And then the one part that I did not foresee was Jimmy Butler going for a 40-point triple double without taking a single three-pointer and without committing a single foul while primarily guarding LeBron.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. Just not just scoring 40 and like not just dropping triple double, but just playing discipline too. Just not really forcing a shot, just getting to where he wants to on the floor and just executing. So very impressive performance.
I hate to lob this question at you because I feel like it's but I feel like I also have to ask it. Is there like what is your gauge for the pulse of the series? Like, do you think there's real life in the series, or do you think it's like an instance of okay, next game the Lakers are probably going to get first and foremost they're probably going to play a lot better. B, they're probably going to get a more beneficial whistle, and C, I would bet if anything I would think AD is going to play a lot better next game. And it's hard for Jimmy Butler to play much better. But that said, the Heat could get Bam back and maybe Dragic. I think Bam's a little more likely given the nature of the injury. I'm curious, what's your pulse on the series?
Well, it's like you said, if the Heat get Bam back, then I don't know, this gets a little more interesting. But that being said, a lot didn't go right for the Heat to win tonight, including making in foul trouble. That's not going to happen again. The Lakers also has a few miscommunication errors. I feel like there are a few times in the game where they just let the Heat get wide open shots at the rim, which I just can't happen for them. Um, right. I think this reminds me of the Lakers game against Denver the conference finals, game three, where they weren't playing with them as much effort. They kind of let the Nuggets, get into the rhythm, get into the flow, and then they try to make a late run, but it was up to no avail. So very similar performance. So, but yeah, I don't. I think AD is going to bounce back in game four. Lakers are going to make adjustments. So
Yeah, I would agree. I certainly, if I had to bet a lot of money on it, I would certainly still pick the Lakers to win the series and probably to win game four. But that said, like at the end of the day, so many people had the Heat dead in the water. And so I think regardless of what happens in this series, you have to look at the Heat and applaud them for what they've been able to accomplish so far. Obviously, if they win the series, like that's something else. But I think regardless of what happens going forward, you have to laud the Heat. But I would expect the Lakers to come out and play a lot better. And I mean, I think our original picks last week
Or Lakers in
were
six.
Lakers in six. So to me, I'm thinking like, yeah, I'll stick with that until it's not possible.
Right. Yeah. I'll keep. I mean, like you said, I think I'm not gonna. The outcome is not gonna change most likely. I think Lakers are gonna find a way.
Yeah, one thing that I thought was interesting was that despite, and this is this is very much a deep take, but it was interesting how heading into the series, I thought, oh, the Heat are gonna. I kind of thought that Andre Iguodala would be, that first, second guy off the bench that would make a difference for the Heat. And don't get me wrong, he's played, he's been respectable in this series. But interestingly, tonight I really felt, and I hate to say this, but I really felt like it was Myers Leonard, and the part that I hate to say is Kelly Olynyk. I mean, I honestly felt like Kelly Olynyk made a huge difference tonight.
He did make a big difference. He hit
Yeah,
three
it
threes
pains me
off
to
the
say,
bench.
but
He really did. He gave the Heat a lot of energy off the bench. I noticed Dwight Howard was on the floor for most of the fourth. He was able to play Dwight off the floor, which is pretty big because it helps the Heat a lot on the boards. Um, yeah, he hit some crucial threes, and yeah, I hate to say he made the difference. I know uh, as a Wizards fan, he was a pain in our ass 4 years ago. So I mean, yeah, 3 years ago. Sorry, 2017. So um, yeah, don't like seeing it, but he did play phenomenal.
yeah, I'm with you there. And at the end of the day, I think this is what everybody that wanted game two to be more competitive. Sorry, this series to be more competitive. I think everyone was kind of thinking like this is the Jimmy Butler we want. And we saw flashes of that in game two. But even in game two, there were times where Jimmy Butler was still, deferring a little bit when he was driving. You and I talked about how sometimes he drives and he'll be in midair and then whoop out a crazy pass. Um, One of the few things I don't like about Jimmy Butler per se, but yeah, I mean, another thing is, in game one when the Lakers just ran the Heat out of the building, they shot really well from three, and now they're kind of shooting a little the um more towards their regular averages, right? Like obviously Markeith played really well. Markeith and Kuzma have been shooting well from three, but everybody else, if you take those two out, they were terrible from three.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, first of all, Danny Green. Did he make a three this game? I don't even
No,
know.
he's 0 for 4, and I saw that he's injured.
Yeah, I think he was injured in game one and game two. I'm not sure. I forgot which game it was, but I mean, this dude just can't hit the side of the rim right now. And KCP's been hot, hot. I think he shot was it like 2 for 11 last game? In this game, I don't think he made that many either.
Yeah,
So right, those. I mean, at least KCP's had some good games in the playoffs. I just don't remember Danny Green ever having a good shooting game this postseason. They really need it from him.
yeah, and Rondo came back to earth a little bit. He shoots 0 for 3, though he had some. I mean, I thought Rondo was a positive contributor tonight for the Lakers, so I'm not shitting on Rondo. But the last couple games he has been shooting it like crazy, like we're not used to seeing from him. So he came down to earth a little bit, and then yeah, Caruso missed a couple of open threes. Obviously, we talked about KCP, and then LeBron missed most of his threes. So you compile all that, it- you know, um, and it makes a little more sense why we get the result that we got.
Right.
But so I'm curious. So okay. So let me ask you: let's say Bam and Goran don't play. Do you think that the Heat can pull out another game like this if if neither of those two come back?
Oh, I think it's pretty unlikely. I don't want to count it Heat. I mean, they've been playing their asses off the entire postseason. They've been playing their asses off the last two games here. But again, it's so many things had to go right for the Heat to win. And look. I mean, look at the box score, right? Box score, right? Jimmy had 4 point triple double, but Duncan didn't shoot very well from three. He was only 3 of 10. Hero had a rough shooting night. He did make a couple baskets at the end, which I liked. Kept staying aggressive, but again, not a great shooting night from Hero. Um, so yeah, I'm not. I don't think this performance is likely if Dragic and Bam don't play, just because a lot of things have to go right for the Heat to win. So
Yeah,
right.
they definitely have a small margin for error, which makes sense. I mentioned this briefly earlier. I mentioned this briefly, but Myers Leonard, even though he only played 13 minutes, I felt like he made a difference in the game. Like, I mean, he's plus 13 in those 13 minutes. Not that plus minus is the most revealing thing, but he makes all his shots. And I also felt like he was kind of gave them a little bit of size and physicality and toughness, frankly, when, whether it was Dwight Howard or Anthony Davis in the game that they've been missing.
Absolutely, yeah. Myers Leonard wasn't really. I don't think he was playing any minutes in playoffs until the finals when Bam got hurt. And yeah, I think he has the size and physicality to out most of the while, or at least give him some problems on the glass. So that'll make a big difference on the rebounding and just just general wear and tear. He goes to stretch the floor, which could also bring Dwight out from the paint. So that also helps a lot.
Yeah. And also, even though he didn't have the best shooting night, I also felt like Jay Crowder. It just felt like he, on the defensive end especially, it just felt like he made a lot of small plays that definitely helped swing things in the Heat's favor.
Yeah, I think whether it was like bothering AD in the post or just like forcing him into turnovers or just making sound rotations. Just uh he the thing about Crowder is like he has a very strong like lower base. So like even if someone like AD posts him up, it's gonna be hard. He's gonna make it hard for AD to get position on him. So like as Crowder's a defender, he's gonna make AD or LeBron work for his shots, whether he's on LeBron or AD. So right, yeah, Crowder made a pretty solid impact on defense despite maybe not it showing up on the box score.
Yeah. So I guess looking ahead in the series. Um, so I think you think Lakers take game 4?
If Bam and Dragic don't play, I guess I gotta say that. Yeah.
If let's say one of the two. Let's be conservative here. If one of the two comes back, do you think it's Lakers just bounce back after kind of a sloppy game, which is kind of what we've seen from them all postseason, or do you think that there's a real shot that he can even this thing?
Wow. That's tough because if Bam comes back, that gives them the defender they need to fend off AD. So it's gonna make it hard for Lakers to kind of just make it hard for AD to bounce back from the game. But I did notice that in game one, they were able to get Bam to foul trouble, and once it did that, then it became easy for AD to dominate and do his thing. So I am interested in seeing if the Lakers try to get Bam in foul trouble if he plays game 4. Regardless, though, wow, that's I gotta say, yeah, this is really bugging me. I think the Lakers can still take game 4 in with Bam comes back. I still feel confident enough that LeBron and AD can I guess bounce back from his performance, play less sloppier. LeBron 8 turnovers tonight. Hopefully that shouldn't happen again in game 4. So yeah, I still think the Lakers have a decent shot winning game 4.
Yeah, I'm with you. Um, I mean, at the end of the day, the Lakers are like heavy favorites for a reason. So on a game to game basis, I'm usually going to pick them to win that game. But I think we've touched enough upon kind of finals or kind of forecasting what we think will happen. Obviously, we'll see the status of Bam and Dragic. Hopefully, hopefully one of them, if not both, could come back just to make things interesting. I still think the Lakers are the better team, but that would obviously make things definitely a little more spicy. And I guess I don't mean to have you on for too long, but I guess we started this podcast off with Jimmy Butler, and he had the 40-point triple double. So I want to go back to Jimmy Butler real quick, and not specifically about his performance tonight, but isn't it just crazy that the Sixers really maxed out Tobias over Jimmy, and then the Timberwolves, even though they didn't explicitly do this, they essentially maxed out Wiggins over Jimmy. And then the Bulls, just even though Jimmy wanted to stay in Chicago, the Bulls were straight up like, "Nah, we don't want you around. You don't get along with our coach Fred Hoiberg, who was gone within a season and a half." It's just kind of crazy to me.
It is, yeah. I mean, to me, I think it was three teams that said like, yeah, we're fine without Jimmy. We're gonna let him. We're gonna trade him. We're gonna let him walk. Obviously, the fiasco in Minnesota really dampened his reputation. And then once he got went to a signing trade for Miami, people were like, "Oh, this guy, this guy was probably a locker room problem in Philadelphia." So those don't see how he can make impact in Miami. But here he is. He's in the finals, and right. I've always emphasized this. I don't know why the Sixers gave so much for Tobias Harris. I don't know why they maxed out Tobias Harris, because he's at best a third option. He's at best someone who can play along against bad teams, but when you put him against size and length, he's not effective. You saw that in the first round series against Philadelphia. He wasn't effective at all. So it's what can you say? The Philadelphia makes a curious decision to let him walk. Obviously Minnesota, they didn't want him around Towns of Wiggins. Minnesota, the Wolves have not been a winning franchise. So
Yep.
once Jimmy got there, they were instantly playoff contenders. Even when Jimmy was healthy before he got injured his knee that season, they were in third seed.
Yep.
And then once he was out, they fell away to eighth seed. They had to win basically a playing game to the Nuggets to get in, and then they lost in 5 to the Rockets in the first round. So, like, you tell me who's influencing winning down there, because it's not the guy. It's not a guy that maxed out. It's a guy they traded from Chicago.
Yep.
So, I mean, what can I say? Jimmy's just proving everyone why he's a winner.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting, right? Because couple years, I'm talking like, let's say 2014, 2015, not 2015, but 2014, 2016. Even last year, there was this, if you ask the casual fan, not even just the casual fan, you ask like people that really watch basketball, would you rather have Jimmy Butler or Paul George? A lot of people will look at Paul George and say he's taller, he's a little more athletic, he's been, first team All NBA. He's been to the conference finals and whatnot. And you fast forward a year, and my gut on Jimmy Butler is, sure, he might not be he's not the most flashy. He definitely doesn't put up the best, like the sexiest numbers. And he doesn't have that same, like I said, the flash and the highlights. But damn, like at the end of the day, I need to win a game. Put Jimmy Butler on my team.
Absolutely. I mean, even in the last playoffs for Sixers, whenever it was closing time, they put a ball in Jimmy's hands. Jimmy was able to orchestrate offense and get everyone lined up and just get to work. And I mean that's really the main reason why I didn't like Sixers giving up, because I mean, who just look at the roster, like who's their closer, right? I mean, Jimmy Butler was that closer for them last season, and now they didn't really have one. And I mean, you talk about Jimmy Butler being able to close, and you saw we saw in playoffs. Paul George was not really able to do that.
Yeah.
That much.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't want to be too, I didn't want to talk too much about that. But yeah, absolutely. Like you look at what happens in the highest leverage moments. One guy comes through, the other guy absolutely does not. I'm just gonna leave that there before I rant for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But one last quick thing before I let you go. This is I'm saying this half comedically, half for fun. You have no idea what I'm about to ask you. So the Miami Heat, specifically Pat Riley, right? He had Dwayne Wade. He had Jimmy Butler. He had Jay Crowder. All of these guys were good for the Heat. What do they all have in common?
They went to Marquette.
Yep. How much should we panic if Pat Riley drafts and or signs Marcus Howard?
How much should we panic? I mean, I don't know if there's anything to panic about. It's just like, wow, this is. I guess he really likes Marquette.
Yeah. I guess I'm just joking. I say that to say, I swear to God, if Pat Riley snags Marcus Howard and all of a sudden Marcus Howard's hitting threes for them in crunch time of a playoff game, I'm gonna be like, yo, how did none of the other like at the end of the day, someone's got to stop Pat Riley from all of his from all of the absolute fleecings that he's pulled off.
And Kentucky players, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Hero and Bam, all Kentucky players.
I mean, Pat Riley's a Kentucky guy,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, like if what like do they what I don't know what pick they have. I think it's I'm not sure they have a first round pick because I don't know how many picks they traded, but if they do have a first round pick, and I mean Washington draft Tyrese Maxey, right? He's another
they have the 20th pick.
Another shooting guard from Kentucky. Just watch him draft him.
Hold up, I'm gonna just so they only have the 20th pick, though they can obviously trade in for a pick. Dude, honestly, seeing what they've done with Duncan Robinson, I honestly would be. I wouldn't say at the end of the day panic. I'm just I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I would raise an eyebrow or two if they trade into the second round and they take Immanuel Quickley, given the success that they've had with Duncan Robinson.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, Quickley was one of the best shooters in college basketball. He's just a sharpshooter. He shoots, I think he shoots like 90% from the free throw line. So
yeah,
your shooting is going to translate to the NBA.
Yeah, and similar to Duncan Robinson, the way at least Quickley played at Kentucky, it was him running off of a lot of screens, catch and shoot, occasional dribble handoffs, and just a lot of motion, a lot of moving around as opposed to dribble, which obviously we've seen work well for Duncan Robinson. And Quickley, similar to Duncan Robinson, probably doesn't project as a great defender on the NBA level, and yet they've managed to find a way to get a lot of value out of him. So I could see them should the Heat get Quickley, I could see him kind of being the protege to, or the next in line to what they have right now in Duncan Robinson.
For sure,
that's a deep take. But yeah, any last thoughts that you have about the finals or the rest of the series before I let you go?
Yeah, I mean, coming to this game 3, I was like, oh, I don't know, there might be only 2 games left, but now it gets a little more intriguing for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if he somehow take another game off of this. So, and have my later than 6 prediction come true.
Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. At the end of the day, more high-level basketball. I'm not mad about it, but yeah, I mean, we at least get a game on Tuesday and a game on Friday in the worst case. So I'm happy about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but anyhow, not too much to talk about. Obviously, just some kind of instant reactions. So I want to thank you for joining me once again, Andrew, and to the listeners, I want to thank you for listening. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe on whatever medium you're listening to, whether it be Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, YouTube, or Spotify. Once again, thanks for joining me, Andrew.
For sure, man. Take care.